Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Uh, on behalf of Rajkot Ophthalmic Society, I would like to welcome you all on this ROS case file 5 with honoring our Rajkot Ophthalmic Society stalwart. So today we have two cases and we are honoring our beloved Dr. Sapowadia sir today. So with this, we will start our first case of Dr. Sir. Over to you, sir.
At the onset, I would like to thank ROS again to giving me this opportunity to talk and present one of my favorite subject, that is bleb needling. Uh, bleb needling case series. I'm going to present a couple of cases out of this. The first case is 70 years old male. He is MD physician and a private practitioner himself. He had a long history of both his phacoemulsification done some 20 years ago, as well as TRABs done in the same time duration at Sankanetralaya with famous doctor, Dr. L. Vijaya. Now this is the slide of 2011. So his right eye was 6.9, left eye was 6.12, best corrected. The right eye IOP was 10 and the left eye was 22. Both the eyes were on Lumigan and Mesopt and oral acetazolamide BID. Both the eyes had a very flat bleb and the cornea had dry look. The right eye antechamber was shallow in periphery and deep in the center. The left eye antechamber was deep. Both eye had a good PCIOL. Both the angles were close, 360-degree, but could see the internal ostium open. The right eye disc was 0.8 and the left eye disc was 0.9. And this was the perimetry of right eye tubular and the left eye verse. So both eye had primary angle closure glaucoma with advanced disc damage, status post TRAB, which have failed with both a pseudophakia with right eye IOP control with maximum medication and left eye IOP not controlled with maximum medication and drug-induced dry eyes. The plan was to continue same in the right eye since it was well controlled, but the left eye had a worse disc and the pressure was not controlled. So something has to be done. So patient was already on timolol, bimetoprost, dorzolamide, and systemic acetazolamide. Now only choice left topically were brimonidine and pilocarpine, but the patient was already a known allergic to brimonidine. So we had pilocarpine left. So we continued everything in both the eyes and added pilocarpine in the left eye, whose pressure was higher. And also added a lubricant because of the dryness and asked patient to come after a month. The patient came 10 days later with IOP of 10 and 14, which was good result in the left eye, came down from 22 to 14 by adding pilocarpine. But the patient had eye strain, which is not very common in old age with pilocarpine. And he wanted to stop and be a medical person would always take to decide by themselves usually. So he was advised to keep the pilocarpine off again and continue the same treatment which he was using before, and let us see what happens. So 4 months later, he came with the same drops. The pressure was good control, 8 and 14 millimeter of mercury. So there was good control with the same regimen. We are happy, but there was skin excoriation and itching and redness since few weeks, and he was not able to tolerate this. So the impression was there was allergy of dorzolamide or allergy of preservative. So we stopped dorzolamide and we stopped Lumigan because it has a preservative, and we switched Lumigan to Zovata, which is preservative-free travoprost that in those days, and we stopped Mesopt and put him on a preservative-free Timolet OD as a single dose and continue the Dimox. So a month later, the intraocular pressure was again almost same, 10 and 22 with 2 drops and Dimox BID. So we had no other choice but do some intervention for the left eye. So we planned needling.
મેસેજ જોતો તો અન્ય મારું ઝૂમ સેશન
ધર્મેશભાઈ મ્યુટ કરજો.
સોરી સર.
Left eye needling was planned and discussed with other glaucoma expert he was in touch with in Mumbai. And next day, a bleb needling with mitomycin C in the left eye was done over slit lamp. And post-op antibiotic steroid drops were given for a month in tapering dose. And we asked the patient to stop Diamox, but to continue the topical drops. So he came after 6 weeks. His vision was as almost same, 6-12 in both eyes with glasses. His IOP was 12 and 18 with topical drops, that is travoprost and timolol in both eyes, but without Diamox. Left eye bleb was elevated on temporal side when needling was done, and the allergic reaction was gone is the main thing, and patient was very comfortable. Unfortunately, this was a few years back, and I couldn't take any picture of the blebs on that occasion. But to summarize this case, this is a case of late bleb needling. It saved the bleb and eventually the sight of the left eye and got rid of systemic acetazolamide. The patient was already taking Diamox for 6 long years and himself monitoring his own creatinine urea because he was a physician, and got rid of topical drug intolerance. And main thing, he got rid of another major intervention, which would have been probably a tube shunt implant. And subsequently, he is still coming for follow-up, and his IOP remains below 18 in the left eye till date. Coming to the second case, a 55 years female, one-eyed patient. The right eye was eviscerated due to injury and now has an eye shell in that eye. The left eye has complaint of progressive loss of vision with 624 with pinhole and nuclear sclerosis grade 3. The picture is of post-op time, so there is an IOL in this picture. The angles were open and there was 0.9 cup with an inferior notch. This is not so good picture of the left eye, the only eye disc, 0.9 cupping. Couldn't do a perimetry in this patient. So left eye combined phaco with trab, with mitomycin, with IOL went uneventful. 10 days later, the patient's vision was 660 with pinhole, but the pressure was a bit on higher side. I had taken one interrupted suture only and not taken releasable. So the pressure was high and the disc was very bad in a one-eyed patient. So I had to do something. So I did a bleb needling by lifting the scleral flap, but mitomycin was not used. Pratish bhai, તમારા iPhone સેજ mute કરશો?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. 1 month later, the vision was 6.9 with pinhole. The pressure came down from 25 to 20. But that was also not a good thing for such a bad disc. So again went for bleb needling by lifting the scleral flap without again mitomycin. I didn't use mitomycin here because it was already used peroperatively, and this was just a 1 month post-op time. And 4 months later, the vision came to 6.6 after correction. The pressure has come down to 17 with a diffuse bleb. This is the last visit picture of the eye. So in this case, the initial bleb needling was done, or we can say just flap lifting, which is similar to releasing a releasable suture or giving bleb massage. But flap lifting with a needle has more control, IOP control than bleb massage, because if we do bleb massage, sometimes there is a bad hypotony or entry chamber flattening, or if we explain the patient to do bleb massage at home, I don't know how they do it. And when releasable suture does not work, even if it has been released, flap lifting or bleb needling, we can say, is very helpful in initial post-op time. There is a short video taken on slit lamp. So this was a cystic blag actually, not a flap lifting. And I tried to enter the cystic bleb from both the sides. This is nasal side. You can see aqueous coming out from the cystic area and filling the bleb. A far away area, I choose to inject mitomycin. This was not the same patient which I presented, but another random eye. Now I had a series of bleb needling, which I presented in World Glaucoma Congress way back in 2013 in Vancouver. So these are 30 patients who needed post-operative bleb needling with mitomycin C out of 262, which I studied. And 12 out of 30 eyes needed repeat needling because the pressure didn't come down to desired level. So out of 30, 22 patients attained IOP below 21 without medication, and 6 eyes needed additional medication. 2 eyes needed additional surgery, that was retrab. Hyphema was the most common complaint, and that were in 7 eyes out of this. And usually this hyphemas goes off very quickly with steroid antibiotic combination and sometimes cycloplegic. And luckily, none of the patient has reported about endophthalmitis of blebitis. So in bleb needling with or without mitomycin C is additional weapon in armamentarium of a glaucoma surgeon. It helps to prevent the patient to get rid of anti-glaucoma medication even after TRAB is done. And it is very well tolerated and very safe if done skillfully. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Piyush Jansari, for this nice series of cases and the clear video showing the needling. Now, I would like other glaucoma experts to interact with him. Meanwhile, when you're needling these patients, what is the risk of inducing scarring later on, or say bleeding more than expected? Because probably it has to be done on the slit lamp more often than not, I think, right?
About scarring, I don't know, because already all the eyes have been undergone mitomycin C. So, and also most of the eyes I use mitomycin C along with needling. So probably a re-scarring or induction, new scarring induced by bleb needling, I think probably is less likely, sir.
Right.
So that way it's safer. That, but the only glitch is that the mitomycin should not do any damage. And had a very one case which I entered inadvertently mitomycin in the bleb, and it went into AC long back, and the endothelium was not good in that eye. So I play very safe by putting mitomycin very far away. Many years ago, this was not mitomycin which was used, but 5-fluorouracil was in use. That were 5 injections on alternate days or sometimes weekly basis. But 5-FU has corneal toxicity, and mitomycin came out to be safer, and sometimes it's more potent. So number of injections of mitomycin is probably 1 or 2 as compared to 5. Right. So and that way it was better.
Dr. Pratish Savjani wants to know the dose of mitomycin you would use for needling.
So it is the same dose which I use peroperatively. That is 0.02%. That is some 10 ml in the 2 milligram vial we get, 10 ml of distilled water.
Right, right. Can you stop sharing, please?
Yeah, sorry.
We can continue the discussion face to face.
Yes.
Yes. And every time needling is done, is there needed to inject mitomycin?
Usually I inject mitomycin in all the needlings, which are done after 3 months of TRAB.
Right.
And very few I need to kind of, I call it now flap lift, because it's just the flap which is not opening. So I use mitomycin most of the needlings. And today I had a case I operated, I think 6-7 years ago, a young female, and the pressure was high again in one eye. So today I had a case. I did record it, but my OT camera is not so good. I didn't want to show that, very bad, but I had to do a needling and mitomycin today.
And it is generally in one site or multiple sites?
I do a triangular flap, so I open both the sides of triangle, and far away from the bleb on the superior area, I go for mitomycin.
Right.
And I always try to enter the antechamber on one side when I do the bleb needling.
But why do you enter the anterior chamber?
I think initially when I used to do the flap lifting, it didn't work. So probably the scarring has entered is so extensive that unless we open the entry chamber, it's not working.
So that then it will have to be in the OT?
Yeah, in the OT, yes.
Right. On slit lamp, it is not.
No, not on slit lamp. Always in the OT.
Right. And how long would you suppose these needling procedures should work for? How much time it lasts? You need to do it again after some time, or?
Yes, of course, sir. A few patients I had repeated even after a year, but the scarring is so bad that it doesn't work and had to do a second trab. But I think 70-80% they work very well. Maybe 1 or 2 doses of mitomycin, most of them, but some patients second time. Very few patients I have injected 5 doses of mitomycin, like 5 FU, but probably they don't work.
So it is more of injection of mitomycin than the needling per se, is it?
I think it's both, because the blebs are flat, most of them. So just mitomycin may not work. Okay. And if we just do a needling, I don't know if it doesn't work. I don't want to take the risk.
Right, right. Yes, somebody was asking a question. Please go ahead.
How much do you inject?
So that is 0.01 ml.
0.01 ml.
It is kind of 1 drop.
Piyush bhai, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, when you do the needling and lift the flap, do you enter the anterior chamber?
Yeah, we were discussing that. I always enter the anterior chamber, because initially I not used to enter the anterior chamber, and those eyes didn't respond to the needling. So then eventually I had to make sure that the bleb is being formed. If the bleb is formed on table without entering into chamber, I avoid it. But I think most of them need the needle to go inside little bit inside the antechamber. We can see in the microscope.
Sorry, I was not. I didn't have the audio in between, so I missed it. But if the gonioscopy shows an open ostium, do you still think that you need to enter the anterior chamber?
Maybe if the bleb is forming without entering, as I said, maybe the needle enters a little bit inside, and I can see in the microscope.
Okay, just make sure that there are no fine membrane there.
No scarring in between.
Adhesion.
And how do you prevent the aqueous leak? You know, from the point where we enter the conjunctiva, there is always an issue of again the bleb flattening if the aqueous keeps on leaking out.
I use a 26 gauge needle, and I think it doesn't make a lot of leak, and I patch the eye for an hour only.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Piyush. That was a nice presentation, and we learned quite a. Okay, one last thing. So, can you call these needling procedures minor revision of surgery?
Yeah, it is. It is kind of bleb salvaging. Yes, I don't make a OT note and all, but I just make a note. Don't charge the patient also, because I've already operated them.
Right.
So if we tell there is a procedure, it's a big emotional issue for them, a new procedure. So I just have to say the flow is blocked, so this medicine will work and increase the flow. That's words which I use.
Right.
Sorry, Piyush bhai.
Yes, sir.
One more question. Recently, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Please go on.
Yeah. Recently, what I've started doing is, some of the young patients, after doing everything, after 4 to 6 weeks, their pressure starts mounting. And I have started teaching them how to do massage. And there was one patient which did very well because the pressures rose to almost 37, 40. And I was not ready for, doing a repeat surgery that quickly. The patient was also not ready. So putting them on medication and then teaching them how to do massage, the amount of pressure that you give, where do you give the pressure and all that. And surprisingly, the pressures came below 20. And so I was able to, avoid another surgery.
Salvage the bleb.
So what is your experience, such vast experience that you have?
I think the bleb massage is a well-known, established way of salvaging the failing bleb. And I used to do it often, but then teaching all the patients how to massage and all, it was a bit reluctant. And so many cases actually, which I had to then take them and ask them to massage the bleb, and then they'll ask more questions how to do, and they'll call us, and all those things. So I thought, let us open the flap for them. And under topical with 26 gauge, it's hardly any sensation to the patient. And sometimes they may press more. Some patients is also a risk, I feel. So, but I think it's an established thing, and a lot of doctors do. I also used to do it, and sometimes I do it now also. But this is the thing which I found it safer for the patients also.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Piyush.